If you could describe Barbara Walters' legacy in one sentence, what would it be?
You know, she was the first and for a time the only woman who broke the glass ceilings to the biggest jobs in television, and she cut a path for the women who followed her.
And she was probably the most successful broadcaster of all time, certainly the most successful woman broadcaster of all time. But was Barbara Walters happy?
Yeah, she was not happy, you know, for all her success. And she loved her acclaim and the fame. She loved being in the middle of things, in the middle of the news. But she paid a big price. You know, we talk about work-life balance. She didn't have any work-life balance. If there was a conflict, she went with work. She was relentless about that. She felt she had no choice if she was going to succeed in what was then a pretty hostile workplace. And as a result, 3 failed marriages, a difficult relationship with her only child, and at the end, a pretty lonely conclusion to that life.
And we know she was historically competitive, not only with men, but also with some of the women she worked with. Where did that, like, once-in-a-generation ambition come from?
You know, I think it came from a pivot point in her life when her father, an impresario, the founder of the Latin Quarter nightclub, when he attempted suicide. She was 28 years old. At that moment, almost that same day, she realized that suddenly she would be responsible to support him and her unhappy mother and her disabled sister. That was when she got serious about a career, and she never took her foot off the pedal after that.
You say in her book, Audition, she was not honest about her rivalry with Diane Sawyer. How so?
Well, it's hard to imagine a fiercer rivalry than that one. When Diane Sawyer was hired for ABC, Barbara Walters was most unhappy, and she started a practice of trying to steal Diane Sawyer's interviews after they had been booked and competing with Diane Sawyer to land the very best guests. And it's a rivalry of epic proportions. And said there were times when Diane Sawyer gave as good as she get, but this was a rivalry really fueled by Barbara Walters' insecurity about her own position, even after she had become an American icon.
Yeah, although we saw on her last episode of The View, Diane Sawyer came out to give her a big hug and have a sort of kumbaya moment. So Barbara Walters conducted some of the biggest and best TV interviews ever. I know you've interviewed so many people over the years yourself. What did you, Susan Page, learn about interviewing by studying Barbara?
Oh, she was so meticulous about preparing hour after hour before an interview with someone like Monica Lewinsky, the interview that got the highest ratings of any news interview on a single network in the history of American television. She spent months trying to brainstorm, what questions should we ask? How should we phrase the questions? What order should we ask them in? And you could see that paid off when an interview like that unfolded.
Yeah, and we know one of her favorite questions was some of the simplest stuff, like just asking people about misconceptions or what, you know, Susan Page is, would be one of her favorite things to do, too, just to do it.
Yeah.
Well, we are, congratulations on the book. It's excellent. It's called The Rulebreaker, The Life and Time of Barbara Walter. Susan Page, thanks so much for being with us.
Hey, thank you.